What's up? Welcome to another video where we'll be reviewing Disenchanted, the sequel to Enchanted that we reviewed last time. Remember? We reviewed Enchanted. So since this film came out today, I just finished it a few minutes just now. I decided to say, hey, why not review it? Because that was the whole point of reviewing the original, so I could review the sequel. So this episode starts off, sorry, fourth habit. This movie starts off with with the Disney logo, and then we get a cut to Andalusia. But this movie does not have Giselle, but it does have Pip the squirrel, who now talks again. Yeah, he's talking. He's basically recapping the first movie. But in this film, we actually get to learn Giselle's origins, how her parents randomly just decided to abandon their baby in the middle of a forest, and Giselle was raised by animals. Which, I don't get how a baby could be raised by animals, but okay. So then we see the book Disenchanted. Kind of funny that he reveals he reveals basically recap the first movie. Narissa threw Giselle down. Well, she found Robert, a lawyer. They found love. Yeah, we all know it. I don't get why the movie had to recap the first movie. Maybe to remind people that the first movie happened. But or maybe it's for the people who hadn't have seen the first movie in years. But for me, I was like, why recap this? Like, we've already seen this. We've already seen some of this. So yeah, so Pip basically reveals that a few years later, Morgan is now 16. Giselle is married to Robert, and they have a baby daughter named Sophia Phillips. So, meanwhile, we cut to the live action, and we see a 16-year-old version of Morgan not being happy that Giselle and Robert decided to uproot her life from the greatness of New York to the what it says on the banner, a fairy tale place of Monroeville. Yeah, Morgan's like, Morgan's not happy. She's like, why would you guys do this to me? She's 16. and and Robert's like, yeah, it's just 16. It's just her being 16. Yeah, I guess they couldn't get the original actress to come back. So they just said, hey, random actress, you want to be Morgan? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll be this. And she was like, sure. So, so Giselle says, oh yeah, this would be totally an adventure. Because it's Giselle, and she's totally happy about going to Monroeville and having fun. So they go to So they decided to go to Monroeville and and Morgan decides to enroll in the school. So enroll in a new school, meet new people, and yeah. So Giselle introduces them into their new house. Morgan's obviously all pouty because she's like, this is not what I wanted. I was better in New York, baby. So Giselle sings a song, which I, again, am not a music guy. So I absolutely skipped. Because I'm not a music guy. I like musicals, but Giselle sings a song about brighten things up. And Morgan's like, okay. It's another musical done by Amy Adams. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Morgan goes to school and is obviously not doesn't make any friends. She just have a crush on this guy who is the son of the real name villain, Marva Minerva, or Malvina Monroe. I have no idea what her name is. She's played by Maya Rudolph, and Maya Rudolph kills it, kills it in this role. So yeah, so yeah, so yeah, so yeah, so. So yeah, she decided to. So yeah, so yeah, so Giselle asked her about her day, and she's like, "It was fine." But yeah, by the way, Morgan's sarcastic now, and Giselle doesn't know what sarcasm is. So yeah, so that day, Morgan decides to go back to New York without her parents knowing, and and Robert's obviously not happy that his daughter decided to go, and she's like, "Hey, you guys just," and she's like, "Hey, be mad at me. Don't be mad at your mom." And and Morgan's like, Morgan does the Dwayne Johnson eyebrow, and it's like, "Excuse me, Giselle is not my mom. She'll never be my mom. She's more like my stepmom." So Giselle's like, "Stepmom?" And she's like, she didn't mean it like that. And then Giselle's like, "But it feels that way." So then, but then next day, who shows up but Donut Lord and Nancy? You know, Donut Lord Marsden and Nancy. They come all the way from Andalusia, and are like, "Hey, here's a convenient plot device wand that Giselle will probably use later in the movie. We'll tell you a song about it." Yeah, they just come to be like, "Hey Giselle, here's this wishing wand that is probably convenient and what you'll probably use later in the movie." Because we all know she's gonna use it. They're going to play give a song about it. We all know she's gonna use it. It's a very good convenient plot device. And yeah. So yeah. So Giselle is like, "Hey, I know how to get Morgan to be more popular. Just have a random booth at her school that says, 'Hey, vote for Morgan.'" But Morgan's like, "Yeah, I didn't ask for this. I want to do things my own way." And then Maya Rudolph's character is like, "Hey Giselle," I'm just gonna keep calling her Maya Rudolph's character because I know she has a name, but it's hard to say. So she's like, "Hey Giselle, you shouldn't be doing this on school property. So yeah, you better go." So Giselle's like, I thought this life was gonna be so more better. Hey, is this a convenient one plot device that Nancy and Nancy and Donald or Marston gave me? Oh yeah, I'll just wish things to be a fairy tale. So after she does it, she's like, yeah, this thing's a dud. Let's go to bed. But then as she's sleeping, the thing starts wait. The next day, everything sounds fairy tale. Morgan now calls her stepmom. They all sing, but that's when Marva Minerva shows up, or Maya Rudolph's character shows up, and she's all evil queen now, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Giselle, I'm the queen of this town." But then the Clark store starts striking, and Giselle's eyes glow gold, and then she turns evil, being like, "Yeah, I'm evil Giselle now, so I don't care about you. Please go." So yeah, so Maya Rudolph's character spots the wand and is like, "Hey, Oscar Nunez, are you free for a cameo?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." "Okay, you'll be a townsperson that Giselle turns into a magic mirror for me." And also, this will be released on your birthday, so yeah, good luck with that. And then she's like, "Who is the powerful of them all?" And then he's like, "Giselle, duh." And then she's like, "We meant most hot, not most powerful." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I've been a magic mirror for about 10 seconds. So I just don't know what I'm doing." So yeah, so Giselle goes to a shop, goes to a shop where she sees this golden dress. But then she starts turning evil then she starts turning evil. She starts turning into her evil stepmom form because Giselle's kind of the main character of this movie, but she's also the main villain of this movie. so evil Giselle takes over and buys the dress. But then good Giselle takes over again, and Pip is now a talking squirrel because they couldn't get the director from the last film or the guy that voiced his squeaks come back. So he's just a talking squirrel for the most of the film. So Giselle starts realizing. So Morgan calls her stepmom. So Giselle's saying, "Oh no, she's turning into an evil stepmom." So now Giselle has a split personality. We have nice normal Giselle, and her stepmom side is her evil side, and that's her split personality. So in between moments, we'll have nice normal Giselle, and then stepmom Giselle will take over at some point. It's kind of cool. Amy Adams, sorry for my coughing. Amy Adams is good in this role. So Arlo Minerva, or Maya Rudolph's character, starts noticing that Giselle is acting a bit strange. So she asks her minions, Grace from Smurfs and Helen from Drake and Josh, to just go steal the wand from Giselle. They succeed. Minerva tries to turn Grace from the Smurfs into a toad, but it doesn't work. So that's when that's when Ludo, aka Ludo the Scroll, shows up and is like, my Rudolph's character, yeah, that only works on Trandalations, so you won't be able to turn anyone into anything. So she's like, oh, well then, I'll just kidnap you and torture you until you tell me what I want. So meanwhile, there's a side plot where Robert, who's now a prince, has to slay a troll. That's a side plot. It has nothing to do with the main story. It's brought up multiple times. It's just a side plot. He has to slay a troll. It's nothing to be bring up. It's just a side plot. I'm sorry, Robert. You had more things to do in the last movie, but now in this movie, your whole adventure in this movie is a side plot. Wow, Robert. You were really big in the last movie, but your main thing in this movie is a side plot. So Giselle decides to turn evil again, and she's like, and she goes out and she sees Morgan talking to Jarvis from Some Assembly Required, aka Maya Rudolph's character's son, and Giselle starts turning from nice Giselle, being like, I don't want to interfere, to evil Giselle, being like, yeah, she's evil. So evil Giselle is like, yo, Morgan, you are in so much trouble. You will do all your chores, so you will not go to that ball tonight. Yeah, that's evil Giselle for you. And evil Giselle is like, yeah, you have a lot of things to do, and locks her in. So Morgan decides to climb down, but evil Giselle finds her and is like, hey, she's evil Giselle. So good Giselle takes over for a minute until evil Giselle is like, hey, I'm gonna do what good Giselle couldn't. Get rid of you, Morgan. But good Giselle's like, hey, Morgan, go be an animated character for a scene and find a way to stop this. So she's basically like, wait, what? So evil Giselle's like, haha, without Morgan, there's only one thing I can do. She doesn't have to be an evil stepmom. She can be the queen. Ha ha ha. And Pip the cat is here because I forgot to mention he turned into an evil cat. He turned into an evil cat. So, evil Giselle goes straight to Minerva, goes straight up to Maya Rudolph's character, and is like, hey, hey. So, evil Giselle goes straight to Minerva and is like, hey, Minerva, hey, Maya Rudolph's character, you are not the queen anymore. So, they break out into a song, which doesn't matter. So, Animated Morgan goes up to Animated Donut Lord and goes up to Animated Donut Lord and Animated Nancy and is like, hey, there's something going on. So she's like, yeah, I understand there is something going on, but we have to stop it. So she goes to Giselle's memory tree, which is a thing they have in this movie now, and everything in Indonesia is falling apart because of Giselle's spell. So they destroy him. So she goes to Giselle's memory tree and sings a song about it, which turns them into live action again. So they go to Morgan's room apparently and discover her memory tree and say, hey, maybe this memory tree can bring Giselle back. So yeah, they meet up with one side plot Robert, who's a lawyer and has Donut Lord's sword because he was given to him in an earlier scene, which I didn't mention. So they're like, hey, where's Rock? He's like, hey, Giselle's cursed. Giselle's under a curse that's making her the main villain of this movie. So we gotta go and stop her. So we gotta go and stop her. So yeah, so they go and stop her. Giselle rip. So they give Giselle the tree. She's like, yeah, this is just garbage, and rips it up. And they're like, no, that's our only way to turn you good. But then something happens where all the memories that we barely saw, even a different voice for an 8-year-old Morgan comes in, and they basically rid Giselle of all her evilness, returning her back to the good Giselle from the first movie. But Maya Rudolph's character, but since the Indonesian is starting to die, Giselle will die too. But Maya Rudolph's character is like, yeah, I like this world that you created for me, Giselle. So yeah, I don't want you to change it. I like it. I like Monroe, Indonesia. But she's like, so they're like, hey, you drop your wand, and I won't hurt your daughter. So yeah, so she does it. It rolls over to Maya Rudolph's character. She destroys it, but that's able to resurrect Morgan because she's able to wake up. So Giselle's about to die. They sing one more. Maya Rudolph is like, hey, Giselle, I forgot to tell you that your little scroll told me that, hey, your daughter, your stepdaughter isn't a really Indonesian, so she can't make this go away. So she's like, yeah, but then Giselle's like, oh yeah, you are a really Indonesian with a song. So Giselle dies. So Giselle dies, but they're able to stop her. Minerva's able to blow everything up, and Morgan makes one last wish to go back home, and then the entire event of the movie never happened. It's only in Giselle and Morgan's mind because everyone else will just think it's just a dream. So yeah, so everything's back to normal. They're back in Monroeville because that's Morgan's home now. I guess. And yeah, so she goes up to Minerva, Alvina, and her cronies, and they're like, "Hey, we remember being toads because she turned them into toads before all this. So she's like, hey, I'm sorry for everything that happened. And then she's like, hey, maybe you are welcome in this community after all. Then Pip comes back to basically say, hey, so Giselle, Giselle's Giselle and Robert's daughter turned into a toddler, and Morgan, she's still a teenager. So then, so then Donut Lord and Nancy come back to basically say, hey, here's a plate that you can wish anything on. It will come true. But then Giselle's like, yeah, I don't think I want to have any more wishing devices in my life. I think you guys can take that. And and that's kind of where the movie ends. So that was Disenchanted. Actually, we do get one final shot of Pip, but that's where Disenchanted ends. So I thought this movie was really good. Like unlike Hocus Pocus 2, where I didn't like it and I thought that that the characters were boring. Having the main characters from the last movie come into this one was really cool. Seeing Morgan in animation, the animation was really good. And I liked evil Giselle. She was a perfect villain. So Giselle is the main character in this movie, but also the main villain. Wow. And Amy Adams knocked it out of the park with her role of being nice, sweet Giselle, but also being deep voice, evil Giselle. But anyway, that's it for the video. Hopefully they make a third one, Enchanted 3, because, this movie was fantastic. How can they not make a third one? So anyway, that's it for the video, and I'll see you next time for any other stuff I do. And also, I felt like the battle between evil Giselle and Maya Ruff's character kind of felt like it was becoming a Marvel movie final fight scene. So this movie, the ending of this movie kind of became a Marvel movie. But that's it. See you next time. And remember, don't wish, because Giselle learned that the hard... If you have a magical plot device, don't wish on it, because Giselle learned that the hard way, by her almost dying. This movie was so sad, but it was so fun.